All right, everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we have Tucker Carlson with Ian Carroll talking about Pizzagate now that all of the Epstein files have been released. So, without further ado, here we go.
And so we're really pleased, grateful, in fact, to have him join us now. Ian Carroll, thanks so much for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Tucker. It's a great intro because you ask so many pertinent questions.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, there's so much here, and everybody who's even paying a little bit of attention is getting text after text or pulling up X and seeing all this wild stuff. And I want to be as responsible as I can and just be very honest. Like, I have no idea what a lot of this stuff is, and of course, partisanship and actual partisan battles are distorting the way people look at this. But I just wanted to pick one narrow slice, no pun intended, one slice of it, and try to figure out what we're looking at here. So do you mind? I know that, and I'm a bad source for this because I didn't take Pizzagate as seriously, maybe I guess as I should have at the time. Would you mind just giving a recap, a basic recap of what this Pizzagate theory was and what we actually know about that story?
Yeah, it's another one of those stories that was distorted by the apparent cover up, or at least distorted by the media's response to it, which was very much a
Yes.
straw man style response, in that these emails get dumped online full of everything that was in John Podesta's life. And John Podesta is a very powerful and connected man. And there was lots of stuff in those emails that was overtly concerning, politically concerning, geopolitically concerning. But people on the internet then started to notice these strange pizza messages, messages about, $40,000 worth of hot dogs or something like that being flown to DC for parties. Things that are just like, wait a minute. You think about it for just a moment and you realize that does not make sense. And overt references to children too. Like these kids ages like 7, 8, and 9, or I forget the exact ages, will be in the pool and it'll be heated and they will be there for, it's like, wait, what are we talking about?
Here's something I also want to just dive into real quick. You have all of these references, these things that Ian Carroll's talking about. You have the elites speaking in code. I have another story that comes to mind, actually. Tucker told it in the beginning of this episode with Ian Carroll. He's talking about Jeffrey Epstein and his doctor. His doctor is prescribing him erectile dysfunction medicine. And he's saying, can't wait to meet after for pizza and grape juice. He emails that to the doctor. And it's like, huh. And pizza, again, you go back to 2016. I remember this, and it was all these people. Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert saying, wow, this is really dumb. This is really stupid. And they debunked it immediately. It was debunked immediately. But all of this information, all of these files, and the word pizza, we're having a pizza party. Ellen, Jennifer Aniston, we're having a pizza party. It's like, pizza should have been, this is like crazy. This is like, in the purest sense, if we're trying to question this, isn't it a little bit odd, the amount of times that pizza is mentioned in these files? I think it's a little bit weird. But I mean, even trying to straw man it again, going back, like all these weird terms, pizza, grape juice, and they're referring to little kids. It's like, it's weird. It's very odd. And again, it's all non-founded because these things are starting to come back. These things are just starting to be looked at. Millions of these files. But like, guys, anybody trying to debunk or saying, oh, this is debunked is, I don't know. I don't want to say dumb, but I think it's really dishonest and really unfortunate that you're willing to just explain away these really odd findings. Again, not just around the words pizza, but like how all these elites were able to conspire together. Isn't that weird? I think so. I don't know. Maybe people in the comments don't think it's weird. And please feel free to explain yourselves. Please feel free to debunk all this stuff. Because frankly, I don't know how you couldn't debunk it. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. I remember when the elites, again, I was watching Fox News with my parents sometimes. But at the time, people like Tucker Carlson were covering it. Like, I remember Pizzagate being talked about while my parents watching Fox News and hearing it in the house. Like, I remember that. And I feel like all the people back then representing the elites, again, the Stephen Colberts, the Ellens, the Kimmels, whatever, they debunked it. But then again, when you find out all these people, not exclusively those people, but people involved with these big news companies are in the files, and it's like, oh, this makes sense. Anyway, back to Tucker and Ian.
So people started to dig into what these weird emails were. And then they started to dig into the fact that there's certain pizza places referenced a lot, places where these people are going and hosting parties. They start to notice that this one pizza place in particular, Comet Ping Pong, which was a pizza place right in the heart of DC that was run by a very politically connected DC insider, boyfriend to the founder or owner of Media Matters. A bunch of strange coincidences. They start to notice all these strange coincidences around this pizza shop. And they notice that the Instagram of this pizza shop is full of very disturbing images of children. Things like children taped to tables.
If you've seen these images on this Instagram for Comet Ping Pizza or Comet Pizza, truly horrifying, truly horrific, like really graphic stuff. And they all said, oh, this was disproven. This is debunked.
Things like commenters talking about rape and sexual abuse, things like comments about kill rooms, and just so much disturbing imagery on a public Instagram account for a public pizza place that has photos of like Obama having pizza at it. That in these emails, Podesta is talking about going and having lunch at this pizza place with all these very high level political people.
John Podesta, if you don't know at the time, was very senior in the Obama administration, the Democratic Party. Again, this isn't just limited to the Democratic Party, but in this scenario, at the time, he was one of the most powerful people in Washington.
And it started to get very strange. And so Pizzagate itself spiraled out into a lot of questions and concerns and genuine investigation. But then it got distorted by the media response, which felt a lot like an immune response to a dangerous virus.
Again, they were all implicated as well. If you were to uncover all this stuff, like all the heads of these giant corporations were in some way connected to this giant sex trafficking ring, connected to Epstein in some way. So it's true.
And the media response then packaged up all of these very legitimate questions that never got answered. And it repackaged it as these crazy people on the internet think that Hillary Clinton personally is running. She's the top. She's the head of a satanic pedophile cabal. And the whole thing is being run out of the basement of this pizza place. That you see like the absurdity of the sort of wrapper they put around this, which no one was claiming that. No one was claiming that Hillary was running it. No one was claiming that it was all out of the basement of this pizza. They were just asking a lot of questions about very legitimate, strange things. And then a very weird event happened where, as the media is running this big kind of smear campaign on these questions, a guy conveniently walks into that pizza place with an AR gun and shoots the place up. Doesn't hit anybody, but manages to shoot a bullet straight through the hard drive that's in the back room somehow, and gets arrested by police very publicly. They have a big photo shoot, and he gives a couple of sound bites as they're hauling him off that are something to the effect of, I was so convinced that it was all real and that it was all here, and it's just not, or something. And so it's like, wow, that is sure convenient. That good thing that Hillary Clinton's not personally running a giant satanic pedophile ring out of the basement of this pizzeria, which no one was alleging. And that was sort of became the wrap-up smear, as Nancy Pelosi has described to us in the past how a wrap-up smear works.
Genius. If you've seen that video of Pelosi talking about how to do a wrap-up smear, go watch it and then come back to this video. Insane.
Where you wrap a problematic narrative up in a false representation of it, and then you have something crazy happen, dangerous, crazy, objectionable happen around that. So then you can look at it and say, that's dangerous. These conspiracy theories are dangerous. And anyone that engages in these conspiracy theories is dangerous. So we can censor them all off the internet because it's been debunked. Don't pay attention to the fact that the guy that owns the pizza place that has the images of children on their Instagram is the boyfriend of the guy that runs Media Matters, who is one of the primary debunkers of these things. So those are the sorts of weird things that happened around the breaking of Pizzagate, and no one ever got any answers. No one in government ever took it seriously. And all those emails are still out there floating. They're harder to find these days, but they're still out there. And the Instagram accounts were preserved in various formats online, archived. So you can still find a lot of the evidence, but it's a lot harder to verify now, because you do make a great point about the current email release, that a lot of bullshit gets mixed in and a lot of stuff of questionable veracity gets mixed in. And so you have to be very careful about sourcing it all, especially 10 years down the line with something like Pizzagate. But
may I ask, do you know if it's true? And I believe it is, but so the man you just referred to who shot up Comet Pizza in Washington, which by the way was like very close to my house where I brought my children there because it was the pizza place in my neighborhood, which the whole thing is so weird. One of the reasons I didn't take it seriously, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. That's on Connecticut Avenue. It's right
yeah,
there.
right.
Too close to it. But the guy who shot it up, who seemed a little bit off, right, was just shot to death last month, right before these emails were released by police in North Carolina.
Well, what do you know? It's almost like the people in power were scared of what this guy was going to say. That's what I think. What do you think? That's what I think. That's what any logical person think. Well, conveniently, he was shot to death. Oh, I wonder if they wanted to make sure he wouldn't be alive when these new files came out. Because, again, to touch on what Ian Carroll and Tucker were talking about in the beginning, it's oddly convenient that this pizza shop was shot up right after all these people were alleging that things happened inside of it. And the owner of the pizza shop was implicated in this giant sex trafficking ring. Again, we're just asking questions, folks. But isn't that a little bit odd? I think it's a little bit odd. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Also, subscribe to the channel as well.
Carolina, who pulled him over apparently on suspicion that he was a fugitive of some kind. I don't think that he was. They said he reached for a gun and two cops killed him. That same guy was killed right before the document release. Is that true?
And what do we know about corrupt cops? I don't know.
True?
I heard the same reporting. Obviously, at this point, I don't really know what's true. The whole world feels a little bit like the Matrix, but yes, I read the same reporting. And the nuance was not lost on me. But I don't know about you or anyone else, but I was in no way expecting to find pizza references in the Epstein files. Even though I had dug deeply into the Pizzagate stuff, and even though we know that Jeffrey Epstein is a human trafficker that is, trafficking in the same things that Pizzagate would allege gets pizza references, it never occurred. I wasn't expecting any pizza references. So it kind of blew my mind when suddenly there's like 800 and something references to pizza in these emails. And especially you picked out some really, really great one, like obvious ones at the opener there, where like pizza and grape soda is a very overt pairing that I'm not sure I've ever seen anyone actually like eat as a pairing.
Well, and also, these are people, well, first of all, in this exchange, apparently one guy's a physician and the other is Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah. And these are health obsessed people. These are people who talk about getting blood transfusions just to extend their lives. And I know as an actual pizza fan that pizza is very...
Is this coded? Is that coded? Is that what he's saying? I don't know. All jokes aside, come on, man. Come on. Isn't that odd? Or can't we just say that this is really odd? What did he say? What did Ian Carroll say? 806 times pizza is mentioned in these new files? Isn't that a little bit odd? Again, tell me in the comments, please. Maybe I'm the crazy one. Continuing.
Healthy. It's been a lifelong struggle for me. Pizza and grape soda? Like, these are the last things that people who care about their health eat. And these are, there's a whole class of people who are, well, vain for one thing, but who are very focused on themselves and their physical health. And it just sort of I don't know. It's a lot for me to believe that the one thing that Epstein's friends and John Podesta's friends have in common is they both have a steady diet of pizza and grape soda. Like I just don't
And
believe
not
him.
only do they
Right?
have a steady diet of that, but they feel compelled to email each other about it with very weird verbiage. How many grown men email each other about getting pizza, or about how tasty the pizza was, or about how many slices you can slice a pizza up into?
I've never done that before. I'm just a normal human being. Folks, in the comments, again, I invoke you. Have you ever done that before? Have you ever texted or emailed your friends about, oh, how delicious the pizza was, or how you could cut it up into how many ever slices? Like he says, again, don't you think that's a little bit odd for maybe the people on the left? Folks, this is against your political enemies too. Can't we just say how this is odd and unite? Can't the right and the left, the people of the right and the left in this country, unite against the elites? Why not? I don't know.
Or how many people will be at the pizza party? Then there's another email in the current dump that is even it stuck out to me because it has the word red hook in it, which at first I didn't have the context, and it seemed suspicious, the words red hook, where it was someone was emailing asking if another guy can go to Red Hook for a pizza meal later. And then in looking into it, it turns out that Red Hook is the address of where Jeffrey Epstein's Virgin Islands businesses are domiciled.
Oh! Oh! And there you have it. And there you have it. Isn't that interesting? Maybe in this episode they're going to dive into spirit cooking. If not, we'll do a whole thing on that too. And Jay-Z and Lady Gaga and that artist that they all associate themselves with, that I believe she's a Luciferian or Satanist, either way. She's into this like black magic and spirit cooking and this crazy shit. But if they don't, we'll do a separate video. What do you guys think about this, man? Is this all just convenient? Because I don't believe it's just convenient. I haven't believed, since I started this channel in 2021 or whenever I started it, it's always been about the elites and the people that control us and prevent us from uniting against one another and exposing their crimes and going after them. But what do you think? Let me know. Is Chrissy Teigen gonna be in these files? I don't know. I don't know. I hope we don't find her. But if we find her, I don't know.
It's on the marina where you would leave in the boat to get to his island. And so then it's almost weirder. Someone was emailing asking if another man can go to where Jeffrey Epstein's business is domiciled for a pizza meal at some. There's a lot of emails like that where people ask if they can use the apartment for a bit, or if we can go get pizza for a few hours or for 30 minutes. That's a Pizzagate reference as opposed to these emails. A lot of these times where they're using food language in ways that does not square with how food actually gets eaten or talked about ever.
Has anyone been asked about this? I mean, is it, a lot of the people in these exchanges, or apparently in these exchanges, are still alive. Some of them are prominent people still, including apparently the doctor in this exchange. Do you know if anyone has just been asked in a straightforward way, what was this?
Not since Pizzagate, as far as I'm aware. I mean, to be fair, it's all a little new. We're still in the first week here, but no, I don't know of anyone being asked directly about any of these references, or about any of the more overt stuff for that matter. The other, very rich and powerful people that are caught with their pants down, so to speak, here. A couple of people have issued apologies. A couple of people have, resigned from positions, but it's entirely underwhelming, the official response, because it's one thing for someone like you or me, journalists, to go and ask questions, which is good and should be happening. But that's not what should be happening. What should be happening is law enforcement should be at their door knocking and asking these questions. Like, we should have institutions that are there asking these questions and many more. This is a particularly interesting and dark thread when you really unwind it. But there's obviously all the other threads of just like, hey, you went to the island. Hey, you said you never talked to him, but you did. So, and none of those questions are being asked. we're being told that it's all a Democrat hoax, and that that Kash Patel would arrest someone if there was anyone to arrest.
And this is the problem with Trump. So by saying all of this is a Democrat hoax, those of us on the right that are Gen Z kind of see through it. We kind of see that that whole excuse is stale by now. Like, it's fallen flat, and you can't continue to fall for this if you're somebody that wants to see the truth. It is clear that in one way or another, Trump is guilty, either by association or by doing sex acts with minors. That's just what it is. And the more he continues to cover this up, and we already know he had the FBI go through the files and redact his name. We understand that. But the problem is, if you are still on the MAGA train, if you're still Make America Great Again after 2024, and after having a year where he just hasn't done what we voted him in there for, I mean, we have to understand that some of you just cannot be saved. And at some point, we also have to acknowledge that the whole MAGA thing was a scam, and the people that are still in it are worshiping their Lord and Savior, Donald Trump. Like, it's just a substitute for religion at this point. A lot of these people do claim to be religious, but again, you see how they put him on the pedestal, and like, that's God for them. And you know what? I think they're pretty wrong, but they're gone. They're gone. They're not coming back. But it's very important to be critical of all sides here. That's what I'm trying to say. It's very important, because if you fall under that umbrella of, oh, yo, this is a Democratic hoax, then you are missing everything, and your energy is not directed at the right force. So that's that.
So it's very underwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, I always am suspicious of people who kind of jump ahead to things like arrest, conviction, incarceration, execution. Like, how about let's just start with an interview? And,
Yeah.
I know a lot of people
ask
who've
some
been
questions.
interviewed by the FBI. I know hundreds of people who've been interviewed. Right. Well, exactly. But in the context of a federal investigation, it's not crazy to call somebody. In fact, it's common. It happens every single day. Happened to like every relative of every J6 prisoner got called in, sat down. Can we come talk to you? I mean, that's not weird. That's the beginning of justice. That's the first step in finding out what happened, punishing the guilty, exonerating the innocent, is having these conversations in the context of a federal investigation, like an FBI interview. And I find it very strange that none of this has happened. And so when you see people on television say, well, we don't have any evidence to indict someone, or, panel a grand jury, it's like, I don't know who talked about a grand jury. Why don't you just ask questions you're the FBI? And if they're not doing that, then you sort of wonder why. So let me so here's the bigger picture that you're qualified to provide and I'm not. The implication of this and a lot of other things in this file dump is that there are basically religious rituals, sexual in nature. That's very common through history. There were temple prostitutes for a reason. There are rituals involving children underway in the United States and the West, rich and powerful people sexually abusing young people. That is very hard for a lot of people to believe or metabolize, but it feels like that's not totally crazy. Like, that happens. Does that happen?
I mean, absolutely. It's so dark that it's hard for average people, regular people that are just trying to live their lives, to even approach it. And even imagine, like, you cannot put yourselves in the shoes of someone so depraved. And honestly, like, regular Americans can't even put themselves in the shoes of a millionaire, let alone a billionaire, because they're just trying to pay their bills and they can't, because the billionaires are, doing these billionaires at least are doing certain things that are messing everything up. But so it's so far removed from our regular experience that it's hard to understand and believe. But it is, I mean, there's been good evidence of elements of that in various kind of fringe investigations for a long time. And I don't say fringe to mean they're unreliable. I mean fringe to say that they just never get traction with the mainstream media for whatever reason.
Right.
But it's right there in these emails and in these files. And it's not entirely clear what all of it means, but there's very overt references, there's covert references, and there's just mounting, because people are still digging through them. These are millions of files and no effective way to sort through them the way that the DOJ put them out. And so the evidence is mounting more and more that we have everything in these files from people that were turning a blind eye, which is also reprehensible, people that were adjacent and complicit, people that were directly complicit, people that were straight up evil and disgusting, and then people that venture into the demonic or the truly depraved. And people that have been following this story have known for a long time that unfortunately that is that's always been a part of it, and we've had evidence that that's a part of it for a long time. And that's true of most all human trafficking networks. The people that are doing human trafficking by their nature are some of the most depraved people on this planet, and it's an enormous industry, and it's not getting any smaller. And it's tragic that it takes something so overt as, you know, this massive blackmail ring apparently blowing up in the middle of the United States government and across the entire world, and then trailing out in a like 10-year long cover up, almost 7-year long cover up, for people to even like confront that this is happening. But it's definitely happening. Not everyone in the files is, you know, participating in ritualistic sacrifices or anything like that.
Right.
And there are fake things in the files that are,
Yes.
for whatever reason, in there. Like, for one example, one that went very viral is there's an image in the files of a cutting board with chickens on it and like a black box censored out, but there's like a foot sticking out, and it's obviously a baby's foot. And the implication is that it's a cutting board with some chickens and like a baby, and they're going to carve it up and eat it. By my understanding, that is a fake image. I do like it's kind of hard to tell what's real and what's fake at this point, but there's stuff like that in there that's like, so there's just a lot of really messed up stuff in there, but there's also a lot of people running away with a little tidbit for views or clicks or likes or whatever it is. And so it's really important that people pump the brakes, slow down, and go to the original source files and look for people that are citing their sources on the files that they're referencing. And when they make definitive claims, they show you the files that they're talking about, because a lot of people are making claims that are actually objectively untrue or are based on a small morsel that has been blown up into a whole meal of, you know, great content, but not necessarily great journalism.
I'm really almost overwhelmed by the cover up of it and by the people I know who participated in that. And I'll just name two of them. One is Bill Barr, who's the two-time Republican Attorney General, whose father, by the way, started Jeffrey Epstein's career. His father, Donald Barr.
Bill Barr is a part of the syndicate, folks. If you know what I'm talking about, then there you go. Part of the syndicate. Hey, folks, if you enjoyed this YouTube video and you want to see part 2, then click the video right here.